begin our program with the invocation. It'll be offered by a veteran of the United States Marine Corps and quartermaster of VFW Anaheim Post 3173, Lou Jordan.
Good morning. Let us pray. Almighty God, Father of us all, we thank you for bringing us together this day. Inspire us to worthy deeds and sound decision, and direct us towards the attainment of our goal. You who have spared us veterans from the grasp of our enemies, grant us the full understanding of your precious comfort. We ask you to bless and to comfort our Gold Star parents who are here today. Give them the strength to do their daily tasks and the courage to meet the problems of life. Grant us that peace which the world cannot give, so that we may be obedient to our commands, and that under your protection we may enjoy peace in our days and freedom from fear of our enemies. We thank you for the privilege of life and the blessing we enjoy through your graciousness in our country. Assist us to know you better, the wisdom to knowledge you as the God of the universe and our ideas. In your mercy, may we, the living, find our peace. Grant us from above this day the challenge of high endurance, the beauties of a humble spirit, the strong courage and will without exertions, to continue to glorify you, to praise you. And if it be your will, may we all be favored together again in this company before another year has passed, and to love you to the end of time. Amen. Thank you, sir.
This time you please stand for the presentation of the colors by the 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit Color Guard. Remain standing for the national anthem to be presented by the Esperanza High School Choir under the direction of Mr. Michael Fenton. March of the Colors.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red flares, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave, home of the brave?
Retire the colors. You may be seated. What a beautiful sight. That's the most beautiful flag in the world. And anyone who disrespects it gets on my list. And it's a short one right now. Our thanks to the 13th MU Color Guard, and again for the Esperanza High School Concert Choir. Give these kids a nice round of applause, because each year they're here and they do such a marvelous job. And what I'd like to do is now is a good time to do it. Have a nice round of applause for the city of Anaheim, who has made this event an annual event into what it is today, and it's one of the outstanding events here in Orange County. A nice round of applause for the folks here in Anaheim. And it's interesting, one particular person, this is her very favorite event, and I think most of you know that Lucille Kring has chaired this and been involved with it since she was first elected to the council. And it's something that, and unless you're around her a little bit, she'll talk all the politicking and all that kind of stuff, but when you want to really get her to talk about the love of something special, this event happens to be it. Please welcome Councilmember Lucille Kring.
Thank you so much, Ed. Not just because of your military service as a Marine, and as we know, once a Marine, always a Marine, but for being our Master of Ceremonies for so many years of this great event. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's ceremony, and thank you very much for attending. I'm honored once again to be chairing this event, and as Ed has already said, it is one of my favorite because we get to honor you, our military men and women, and our military families. We're here today to honor our military veterans and to remember the sacrifices they made for our country. We recognize their courage, their dedication, and sacrifice required to defend and protect us. It is not only the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights that give Americans their liberties and freedoms, but the men and women who have served and sacrificed to uphold our God-given rights and the principles within those documents. At this time, I would like to ask all the active duty military and all of our veterans, please stand to be acknowledged. Thank you all for answering the call to duty that you have made our nation's military the most respected in the world. You may be seated. We know it is not just you who have sacrificed, but the families of veterans and active duty service members. They also give so much. My dad and my uncle served in the Army. Other family members served in the Marines, the Navy, and the Air Force. And we know firsthand the immense pride and honor, but also the worry and many times the heartbreak that comes along with being a military family. You give up your time with your loved ones, and they are gone sometimes for months when they are deployed around the world, working to protect us and our great country. And for these sacrifices, we cannot thank you enough. Now I would ask all our military family members, please stand so we can acknowledge you. We recognize what you have endured at home and performed the duties of caring for family while your loved ones were away. So please stand so we can thank you. Thank you for your sacrifice and your service. The veterans we honor today come from all walks of life, but they share several fundamental qualities. They possess courage, pride, determination, selflessness, dedication to duty and integrity, all the qualities needed to serve a cause greater than them. Since the first shots at Lexington and Concord were fired and our Revolutionary War began, our nation's men and women have been answering the nation's call to duty. Millions of Americans have fought on battlefields here and abroad to defend our freedoms and our American way of life. Today, our troops continue to make the ultimate sacrifice. They follow in the footsteps of generations of Americans. We must remain a grateful nation and thankfully acknowledge the cost of freedom. Today, Veterans Day, is a chance for us to show just how much we appreciate and honor our local heroes. But in Anaheim, we know we just don't honor them one day. We honor them throughout the year. If you drive through the city, you will see the banners of the faces of active duty military and some of those who had made the ultimate sacrifice. Since our military banner started, we have raised 120 banners to Anaheimers. There is Eric Scott Lopez, who was born and raised in Anaheim, went to Anaheim High, and is now serving in Afghanistan. He volunteered when the call was asked to sign up without hesitation. There's Wesley Ward, an Anaheim native. He is a Marine serving in Afghanistan, and when he comes home, he wants to continue his service as a police officer or a teacher. There's Melissa Ford, who also grew up in Anaheim. She is serving in the Air Force in intelligence. She also sings in the Air Force choir. There are hundreds of Anaheim residents like Melissa, Ward, and Eric, and hundreds who have served before them. Thank you again for attending today's ceremony, and may God bless our veterans, our families, our troops. People across the country will gather today to remember, to honor, and to pay tribute to our veterans who have served our country. Our gathering is just one small spark in the flame of pride that burns across our nation today and every day. Your presence here today shows your undying love for our country and the principles upon which she was founded. I ask that we all honor the memories and lives of our veterans by respecting the symbols and the images that represent their service and their sacrifice. And take a moment each day to find a way to show your gratitude. A simple thank you is much appreciated. We are also celebrating the 242nd birthday of the Marine Corps. And here in Anaheim, we adopted the 13th MEU, the Marine Expeditionary Unit. And here with us today is our commander of the 13th MEU, Chandler, or as he likes to be called, Chad Nels, as our keynote speaker. Colonel, we are pleased that you brought so many young veterans, Marines and their families here. And thank you to our Marines for being here today and joining us so that we can honor you. Again, thank you for attending today's ceremony. God bless our veterans, God bless our military families, our troops, and God bless the United States of America. Have a wonderful day.
Lucille, thank you very much. And something I want to point out, I read kind of an interesting article that points out still the number of veterans coming out of the military service who are without jobs. And that's something that has got to be a big goal. And hopefully we'll be able to help a whole lot more in the coming years. And what's really great is schools like Vanguard University, Santa Ana College, too, that I happen to work with, that have a fantastic Veterans Resource Center now. And they're helping these young veterans, some of them actually retired, veterans that are coming out, go back to school and get advanced degrees or just getting their regular degree. And that's extremely special, because there's people like me that would not have a degree had it not been for the United States Marine Corps. And it's something I appreciate, and I've tried to pass it forward as much as I can. At this time, I'd like to, again, welcome the mayor of the great city of Anaheim, Mayor Tom Tate.
Thank you, Ed. One of the great privileges I have as mayor is joining you each year to honor our nation's veterans. So, Ed, thank you again for your service to our nation and to our great city of Anaheim. And Colonel Nelms, we are honored to welcome you back to Anaheim. I'm proud to know you, and we are honored that you are here today. We are proud and comforted to know that you lead the men and women of our adopted 13th MEU. They are fortunate to have such a fine man leading them. Here in Anaheim, our city is proud to be home to more than 10,000 veterans. Not only have they served our country, they now serve our community. through VFW Post 3173 and American Legion Post 72, our veterans provide support and camaraderie to those who have served, from World War II to Afghanistan. Our veterans include students, business people, and city leaders. Our Mayor Pro Tem, James Vanderbilt, is a Navy Special Warfare Unit veteran and currently serves in the Army Reserves, serves as the Army Reserves Captain. To Mayor Pro Tem Vanderbilt and all veterans with us here today, thank you on behalf of the City of Anaheim. In Anaheim, we are a city of kindness. That means we do things for each other with no expectation of return. Along the way, we build social muscle or connectiveness that we can draw on in times of crisis or just to help us address everyday issues. The support and kindness our veterans provide each other is a shining example in our city. Anaheim is a better city because of what you do. I, like many, did not serve, but I stand here in deep admiration of the few who have done so much for so many. But I'm proud to be a son of a veteran. My father, Ken Tate, has been a constant inspiration to me. He is with us today, and I want to take a moment to honor him. He served during the Korean War as a part of the Navy's construction force known as the Seabees. He was one of their surveyors attached to a Marine unit. By building bases, roads, runways, and bridges, the Seabees support those in combat. So, to my father and to all Seabees, thank you for your vital contribution to our nation's security and safety. For centuries, men and women from the Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard have made us proud. Because of their bravery and commitment to our great country, we enjoy freedom. Today, our nation gathers to recognize and honor them. As important as Veterans Day is, in Anaheim, honoring our veterans is a year-round effort. Nearly 20 years ago, our city unveiled the Anaheim Veterans Monument that stands just to my left. The monument honors veterans who served in 20th century wars. It shows the human side of war. A man sitting at a mess table, a nurse tending to a wounded man, a woman saluting. I was honored to be part of the city council that made this monument possible. But the real credit behind this monument fittingly goes to a veteran. Don Baldwin, an Army infantryman, made it his mission to see a monument in his hometown. He and his fellow veterans at the American Legion were instrumental in making this happen. Don also shows how veterans go from serving their country to serving their community. He has chaired Anaheim's Park and Recreation Commission and Senior Citizens Commission. And for 16 years, he has served as part of the Anaheim Police Department's retired senior volunteer patrol. He has graciously logged more than 5,000 volunteer hours for our community. Don is with us here today. Don, would you please stand and be recognized? Don is such a good man, and I stand with everyone in Anaheim in thanking him for his service to our city and our nation. We are proud that so many veterans call Anaheim home. I stand in awe in your determination and commitment. From the colorful display of flags to the special music, today's ceremony is one small way we can say thank you for your courage, valor, and sacrifices are unmatched. Thank you, and God bless America.
Mayor, thank you very much. You know, it's fun for me as a veteran of the Marine Corps to introduce what I would call a Marine's Marine. It can fit a number of ways, but to me it's always been one that is someone who stands out in so many ways. Colonel Chandler S. Nelms is the commanding officer of the 13th MEU, And for those that don't know, 13th MEU happens to be one of the finest fighting forces in the entire world. And it's funny, I didn't know as much about the unit until Anaheim made that adoption some years back. As most of you already know, it was 2007 that Anaheim made that decision, and what they did is wanted to adopt a unit out of Camp Pendleton in order to show support for the military personnel and their families, and that's taken place since then. The mission of the Marine Adoption Program is to support the United States Marine Corps unit and their families on an ongoing basis, both when the unit is at home and when it's deployed. In return, the Marine Corps provides community support by participating in local school programs and various city functions. The goal is to encourage mutually beneficial interaction between the community and military personnel. The list of accomplishments for Colonel Nelms is extremely impressive. I'm going to run through a few of them. He's from Jupiter, Florida, attended the United States Naval Academy, was commissioned in 1993 and completed the basic school in March of 1994. He was designated a naval aviator in May of 1996 and reported to his first fleet assignment in August of 1997. In September 2001, then Captain Nelms deployed to Pakistan for Operation Enduring Freedom. In February 2003, deployed with the 11th MEU Command Element to Operation Iraqi Freedom 1. He deployed to Iraq again in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom 2, conducting operations against the militia as well as security and stability operations. He returned to Iraq in February 2007 as the executive officer of VMGR 252 Detachment A, Al Asad Air Base, in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom 2006-2008. Under his command, VMM 263 deployed from March 2011 to February 2012 as the composite ace for the 22nd MEU and participated in Operation United Protector Odyssey Guard in support of the liberation of Libya and other areas in 5th and 6th Fleet areas of responsibility. He graduated from the Marine Corps War College in 2013 with a Master of Strategic Studies degree. From July 2013 to July 2016, he served as a plans officer at USSO Com J35. He was promoted to his present rank in April 2016. He received a Master of Business Administration with highest honors from the University of Tampa in August 2016. Colonel Nelms' personal awards include the Bronze Star, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, Air Medal with numeral 7, Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal, Joint Service Achievement Medal, Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, as well as numerous expeditionary service, campaign, and unit awards. He has accumulated over 3,500 mishap-free flight hours. That's a lot of time in the air. Please welcome an outstanding Marine, Colonel Chandler S. Nelms, Commanding Officer, 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit, Camp Pendleton.
Okay. Well, thank you for a very warm and generous welcome. Good morning, everyone. Allow me to echo the sentiments of Mr. Arnold and Councilmember Kring and Mayor Tate and express my gratitude to all of our government officials, the Anaheim Adoption Committee, the Esperanza High School Concert Choir, and our volunteers and our young Marines for supporting today's event. And also, thank you for allowing me and the Fighting 13th to be a part of your Veterans Day celebration. Before I begin, I'd like just to also acknowledge all of our veterans who are here with us today. Councilmember Kring had them stand up a few moments ago, and I think you can see that all of our military veterans, they span many generations. And while our veterans are discernible by the cloth of their organizations, they are bonded by their willingness to protect and defend our great nation. The majority of our veterans enter the service as teenagers or young adults. They're groomed in a culture of instant obedience to orders, a culture that stresses attention to detail, a culture that preaches the importance of taking care of others before taking care of yourself. They learn to work as a team, as a singular group, to accomplish their mission. As our service members mature in their organizations, they learn valuable skills that cannot be taught or gleaned outside the rigidness of a military structure. At first, they simply follow, because to be a good leader, you must be a good follower, and you must know the character of servant leadership. Because without this knowledge, one will never truly understand how to effectively train and mentor and lead others. Your service members begin to experience leadership by leading small teams. As time passes, they may become responsible for perhaps a dozen people, but then a dozen more. They learn to communicate effectively. They learn to value the skills of their subordinates and match those skills with appropriate tasks to accomplish the overall mission. And they learn to manage and help navigate those they lead every day through their own difficulties in their personal and professional lives. Little by little, your service members receive more and more responsibility. Before their 21st birthdays, Marines, sailors, soldiers, airmen, and Coast Guardsmen are responsible for fixing our aircraft and our ships, both in port and while deployed. They're responsible for accounting for every expenditure in thousands and sometimes millions of dollars in the budget. They're responsible for keeping our computers updated and functioning and making sure we have communications in the most austere environments imaginable. And they have the ultimate responsibility for knowing when to pull the trigger in combat. Each and every veteran standing here today can talk to you about their leadership experiences. They can talk to you about the leaders they strive to emulate in their daily lives. They can talk about the responsibility of service that they shouldered throughout their military careers. They know what it's like to look in the mirror and ask themselves, did I do my best today to take care of my troops? And did I accomplish the mission at hand? The majority of our service members transition to civilian life after one enlistment, a 3 or 4 year term. Some go back to school, while others are hired and they seamlessly become a part of our workforce. Just under a year ago, my family readiness officer, Mr. Brian Vaughn, introduced me to our Anaheim Adoption Committee. At that time, I couldn't imagine the quality of support and encouragement the city of Anaheim would provide to our military community. As many of you know, this year marked the 10th anniversary of this formal relationship between the Anaheim Adoption Committee and the 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit. The Adoption Committee is the steel anchor in our relationship because the 13th MU's operational cycle is so continuous. Personnel in our unit change out every 2 or 3 years. And just as that change happens, the MU begins a 6-month pre-deployment training program. And then we deploy for 7 months. When we return, the cycle begins again. Having served honorably overseas, the Marines either head off to their new duty stations, or perhaps their enlistments are up, and they begin the process that leads them back to civilian life. Meanwhile, new Marines and sailors are checking in. The new commander reports aboard, and the exercises begin again. The only constant in our 13th MU family is the outpouring of support we receive from the Anaheim Adoption Committee. Speaking from personal experience, you have treated every one of us as your family. So on behalf of the 13th MU and your military, I would like to say thank you to the city of Anaheim and for everything that you do for us year after year. Mayor Tate, your city of kindness is also a city of great generosity. Today's Veteran Day ceremony is one example of the time and effort this community dedicates to showcase and to support its veterans. I want to thank each of you for coming out to celebrate the service of your service members. By being here today, you have demonstrated your commitment to our veterans, but those on active duty and those who have returned at home. Thank you.
Colonel, thank you very much. And it's nice to hear from the commanding officer about what the adoption committee and the program means to this unit. And speaking of this unit, could I have all of the 13th MU members stand and be recognized right now, please? All of the 13th MU. We see them getting ready for something coming up here pretty quick. Now it's my great pleasure to welcome back the Esperanza Concert Choir to perform the military anthem medley. And veterans, as you know, we all stand aside. We're right there with you, right alongside you. And we appreciate everything you've done. When you hear the anthem from your branch of the military, would you be kind enough to stand? The Esperanza High School Concert Choir, again led by Director Michael Fenton.
And the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won. And the army goes rolling along. Then it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wherever we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along. Marines, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First we fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines. Coast Guard!
The Esperanza High School Concert Choir, led by the director, Michael Fenton. It's great to have you guys here, always. What a great job. What great kids. Veterans Day is an opportunity to celebrate and honor the service of all 5 military branches. This Veterans Day also marks the 242nd birthday of the Marine Corps, and it's customary for Marines to cut a traditional cake in celebration of the inception of our illustrious Corps. We have a special message from the Commandant that will be read by Gunnery Sergeant Gonzalez.
On November 1st, 1921, John A. Lejeune, 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps, directed that a reminder of the honorable service of the Corps be published by every command to all Marines throughout the globe on the birthday of the Corps. Since that day, Marines have continued to distinguish themselves on many battlefields and foreign shores in war and peace. On this birthday of the Corps, therefore, in compliance with the will of the 13th Commandant, Article 38, United States Marine Corps Manual, edition 1921, is republished as follows. On November 10, 1775, a Corps of Marines was created by a resolution of Continental Congress. Since that day, many thousand men have borne the name Marine. In memory of them, it is fitting that we, who are Marines, should commemorate the birthday of our Corps by calling to mind the glories of its long and illustrious history. The record of our Corps is one which will bear comparison with that of the most famous military organizations in the world. During 90 of the first 146 years of its existence, the Marine Corps has been in action against the nation's foes. From the Battle of Trenton to the Argonne, Marines have won foremost honors in war, and in the long eras of tranquility at home, generation after generation of Marines have grown gray in war in both hemispheres and in every corner of the 7 seas that our country and its citizens might enjoy peace and security. In every battle and skirmish since the birth of our Corps, Marines have acquitted themselves with the greatest distinction, winning new honors on each occasion until the term Marine has come to signify all that is highest in military efficiency and soldierly virtue. This high name of distinction and soldierly repute, we who are Marines today have received from those who have preceded us in our Corps. With it, we have also received from their internal spirit, which has animated our Corps from generation to generation and has been the distinguishing mark of the Marines in every age. So long as that spirit continues to flourish, Marines will be found equal to every emergency in the future as they have been in the past, and the men of our nation will regard us as worthy successors to the long line of illustrious men who have served as soldiers of the sea since the founding of our Corps. J. A. Lejeune, Major General, United States Marine Corps, 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps.
A nice round of applause for Gunnery Sergeant Gonzalez. The first piece of the cake will be given to our guest of honor, Colonel Chandler S. Nelms. The next piece is given to the oldest and youngest Marine present, symbolizing the experience and the youthful spirit that are hallmarks of our Corps. The most experienced, the oldest Marine veteran here today, Sergeant Lance Mesner, who is 86 years young. Come join us, Sergeant. The passing of the cake from the oldest to the youngest Marine symbolizes the passing of history and traditions to the next generation. The youngest Marine with us today, PFC Patrick Alexander Espinola, born November 1st, 1994, in Stockton, California. Let's give him a round of applause, please. We conclude today's program with a final selection from the Esperanza Concert Choir, led by Mr. Michael Fenton.
This is my country, land of my choice. This is my country, hear my proud voice. I pledge my allegiance, America the bold. For this is my country to have and to hold.
Can you tell us a little bit about your amazing service?
Yeah, well, I was really honored to be asked to be a part of the Tuskegee Airmen organization. I flew in the Navy, and so when I got asked to be a part of that organization, there was no way I could turn it down. And so I tried to uphold the legacy and the tradition of the Tuskegee Airmen, and to try to encourage our young people to get involved in aviation, because after all, it's still part of the future.
That is awesome. Sir, thank you so much for your service, and thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me, and God bless America, and God bless Anaheim.
Well, today we honor all veterans in Anaheim, and it's a little special for me today because I brought my father, who is a Korean War veteran, a Navy Seabee, and I want to honor him a little bit special today. So that was a great day for the Tate family. We owe everything we have to our veterans. We owe our freedom, what we do every city council meeting. We think about, that doesn't come free. It comes from the sacrifice of a few people who sacrifice for many. And so we want to honor them especially today, but we should honor them every day here in Anaheim. And we do we have banners of our military men and women throughout our streets, but we need to always think about our veterans, and if you come across a veteran, make sure you say, thank you for your service.
Well, Veterans Day, as was mentioned by Ed Arnold, is one of my favorite days because we honor the vets. My dad was a vet, my uncles, they were all in the Army, and then on Ron's side, there were people in the Marines and the Air Force and the Navy, and it's just a wonderful. These men and women do so much, and they put their lives on the line, and even now when there's no draft, they still put their hand up and swear allegiance to America, and they go. They know that they may not come back, but they're still willing to serve and sacrifice. And it's not only the veterans, they're an integral part, but it's their family members. Those men and women, the moms and dads, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, they suffer almost as much as the vets. Because so many times, particularly with the Marines and what the colonel said, they prepare for deployment for 6 months and they're out for 7. That's 13 months that you may not see your loved one. So I applaud the men and women who serve and the men and women who serve at home.
You know what's so wonderful is this is the 10th year of Anaheim celebrating and honoring the 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit, the 13th MEU. It's our 10th anniversary of honoring and adopting that expeditionary unit. We're so proud of our veterans in Anaheim. We cherish their service, their honor, their valor, and their bravery. My son is a Cub Scout. What would you like to say as a Cub Scout in Anaheim?
My troop, Pack 546, loves our veterans, and we celebrate this day very much.
And we're proud to be here honoring our veterans. I want to thank the City of Anaheim, our staff, the Marine Expeditionary Unit, and the Colonel Nelson, who was here, Milms, who was here today, and all of our residents who come out, and of course, all of our veterans. And young and old, we value your service, and we're so proud of you, and thank you.
I'm really fortunate to be on the City Council during this era where this world and the country and the city are spending much more effort focusing on veterans, which hasn't always been the case. But Anaheim has such a rich history. In fact, I think I found in some newspaper articles from around the 1860s where they would have parades for the veterans from the Civil War here in town. So with a legacy like that, it's fitting that we have an event like today bringing out not only the community, but the fact that We spend a lot of time trying to remember homegrown veterans as well as those that are serving as an adopted family. And when I'm speaking about the veterans from the MEU 13 at Camp Pendleton, California.
Yes, I was in the reserve, and I had a story on that. But when I volunteered for active duty, I thought, well, they'd give me some training when I had my rank because of my experience. I was in college at the time, and we all left school to join the service, and so I reported in expecting to have some more training, and they shipped me overseas right away, and asked where's the unit. No, it was a very small unit. We were called 10th Naval Construction Brigade Detachment A. It was the only, and we did all the preliminary reconnaissance for any construction west of the Pacific coast for the Navy and the Marines. So we were attached to the Marines part of the time, and usually we would go before a brigade would go in and do the construction. We would line it up, do the preliminary surveying and so forth, and set it up so that the battalion would come in. So we traveled all over the Pacific. It was a wonderful experience for me.
Well, I mentioned it today. The folks in the 13th MEU, our Marines and sailors, they spend about 2.5 years at the most in our unit. So it's a constant cycle where Marines and sailors check in, new commanders check in, we build a team, and we deploy. And then when we come back, we disassemble. The units go back to their parent commands. Marines will either go on to new duty stations, or they'll end their active service as their commitments are up and they go home. And the one piece of continuity that we get in 13th MEU is the Anaheim community. They sponsored us. They began sponsoring us 10 years ago, and we've had a team, just a partnership, if you will, for the last 10 years with Anaheim, and they're the continuity in the whole thing. So, previous years we didn't have anything like that, and having the folks from Anaheim reach out to us year after year, commander after commander, new Marines and sailors that check in. It's just an incredible partnership, and we're just really appreciative of how much they support us.